My father slid a folder across my dining table. Sign the deed, or we take you to court. His voice was cold, clinical, like he was firing an employee, not talking to his daughter, not looking at the child he'd raised for 35 years. I looked at my mother. She wouldn't meet my eyes, her hands clasped in her lap, her wedding ring catching the light, the ring from the marriage that had produced 2 daughters, but apparently only loved one. My sister sat beside them, arms crossed, jaw set, the same entitled expression she'd worn her entire life, the expression that said she deserved things simply because she wanted them. They were in my penthouse, the one I bought 3 years ago, my name on the title, my down payment, my mortgage, my 60-hour weeks for a decade to make it happen, my sacrifices, my sleepless nights, my discipline, and they wanted me to hand it over to my sister for her fresh start, like my start hadn't mattered, like my work hadn't counted, like I was just a placeholder, holding the property until the real owner came to claim it. I looked at the folder, legal paper, professional binding, a quitclaim deed already prepared, a line waiting for my signature. They'd come prepared. They'd expected me to fold. They'd expected guilt to do their work for them. I said no. Dad opened his briefcase. More documents, legal threats, court filings, the artillery of a man who made his living intimidating people into submission. I opened mine. Before I tell you what was inside, hit subscribe and tell me where you're watching from. If you've ever been the black sheep in your family, you'll want to see how this ends. If you've ever been told you don't deserve what you've earned, this story is for you. Let me back up. I'm the older daughter, but I was never the favorite. From the very beginning, there were 2 versions of childhood in our house. My sister's version had a soundtrack, piano lessons, dance recitals, birthday parties with themes and catering. My version was quieter. Library books checked out in stacks of 10, hand-me-downs from cousins I'd never met, birthday dinners at home because restaurants are expensive. When I was 10, I asked for a bike for Christmas. My sister asked for an American Girl doll. We both got what we asked for. Her doll came with the matching outfit, the accessories, the carrying case. My bike was used, spray painted pink to hide the rust. The chain fell off during my first ride. I learned to fix it myself. When I was 14, I started babysitting, $5 an hour, sometimes $8 if it was a weekend. I saved every dollar in a shoebox under my bed. My sister spent her allowance on magazines and lip gloss. I spent mine on nothing. When I was 16, my sister got a car, a red BMW, with a bow on it. The whole family gathered in the driveway to watch her reaction. She screamed, jumped up and down, hugged Mom and Dad like they'd given her the moon. I stood in the back, watching, waiting for my turn. 2 months later, on my 17th birthday, I got a bus pass and a handshake from my father. "You're smart," he said. "You'll figure it out." That became the family motto for me. The explanation for every inequality, the justification for every slight. When my sister needed a tutor for calculus, they hired one, $80 an hour, 3 times a week, for a semester. When I struggled with chemistry, Mama said, "You're smart. You'll figure it out." I did. I taught myself. I got an A. Nobody noticed. When my sister wanted to study abroad junior year, they paid for it. Paris, 6 months, living stipend, travel budget, photo albums filled with pictures of the Eiffel Tower. When I wanted to do a summer internship in New York, they said, "If you can afford it, go." I couldn't afford it. I stayed home. I worked at the coffee shop. I saved $4,000 that summer. When my sister graduated college, they threw a party. catered, open bar. Relatives flew in from 3 states. A photographer captured every moment. When I graduated with honors, with a job already lined up, with 0 debt, they took me to dinner. Olive Garden. My sister spent the whole meal complaining about her bridesmaid dress fitting. She got the college fund. Sorority dues paid in full. Spring breaks in Cancun. Designer clothes for every season. A tutoring service when her grades slipped. A new laptop every 2 years. A car when she turned 16. An apartment deposit when she graduated. A wedding paid in full. I got "You're smart. You'll figure it out." So I did. I worked through state school, night shifts at a coffee shop, 6 p.m. to 2 a.m., 4 nights a week, then class at 8 in the morning. I lived in a basement studio with 1 window. The window faced a brick wall. The carpet was brown and stained in places I didn't want to think about. The heat worked sometimes. The hot water worked less, but the rent was $450 a month, and I could afford it. I saved everything, every dollar, every receipt, every tip. I developed a system. 30% of every paycheck went into savings, no matter what. No exceptions, no emergencies, no just this once, no I'll pay it back later. That money was untouchable, sacred, the foundation of everything I would build. When my car broke down junior year, I walked. When my laptop died, I used the library. When my tooth cracked, I waited 2 months for a dental school appointment because the savings account was sacred. That money was my future, my escape pod, my proof that I could make it without them. My first boss was a woman named Claire. She ran the coffee shop like a Fortune 500 company. Spreadsheets for inventory, binders for everything, color-coded systems for scheduling. She noticed me, not because I was special, but because I was there. Every shift, on time, never calling in sick, never making excuses. One night after closing, she sat me down. "You're different from the others," she said. "You're building something. I can see it." I shrugged. "I'm just trying to save money." She leaned forward. "Track every dollar like it's evidence. Write down where it comes from. Write down where it goes. One day you'll need it." I didn't know why. I didn't know what she meant. I just listened. I started keeping receipts in a shoebox. Then the shoebox became a folder. Then the folder became a binder. 10 years later, that binder would save my life. 10 years later, I had $84,000 in savings. I was 32 years old, working as a project manager at a tech company, making good money, still living like a student, still saving 30% of every paycheck. I started looking at apartments, then condos, then on a whim, a penthouse. The realtor laughed when I walked in. I was wearing jeans and a hoodie. She assumed I was lost. "This unit is $680,000, she said, like I couldn't read the listing, like I didn't belong. "I know," I said. "Show me the kitchen." She did, and the bedrooms, and the balcony, and the floor-to-ceiling windows that faced downtown. I stood in the empty living room, looked out at the city I'd spent a decade learning to navigate, the skyline I'd watched from basement windows and bus stops. "I'll take it," I said. The realtor's jaw dropped. "You'll need pre-approval, a down payment of at least 20%. I handed her a folder, bank statements, pre-approval letter, proof of funds. Her expression changed. The closing took 30 days. I handled everything myself. My parents didn't show up, didn't offer to co-sign, didn't offer to help. The seller's agent made a note in the margin of the paperwork. Buyer's parents declined to co-sign or contribute. Transaction is solo. I didn't know he'd written that. I wouldn't find out for 3 years. I bought the penthouse. 3 bedrooms, Floor-to-ceiling windows, 23rd floor, view of the entire downtown skyline, my name, my mortgage, my closing, the day I got the keys. I stood in the empty living room and cried. Not because I was sad, because I'd done it alone. Every single step, from the basement studio to the 23rd floor. My parents didn't even show up for the closing. Didn't send a card. Didn't call. My sister posted on Instagram about her third vacation that year. Cabo San Lucas, matching bikinis with her friends. Hashtag blessed life. Hashtag living my best life. Hashtag grateful. I posted a photo of my keys. One comment from Mom. Nice. That was it. One word. For a decade of sacrifice, I kept working, kept saving, kept a binder in my home office. Every bank statement, every mortgage payment, every tax return, every receipt, every email confirmation, every wire transfer. I developed a system, monthly tabs, yearly sections, color-coded labels, cross-referenced spreadsheets. My boyfriend at the time thought I was obsessive. Why do you keep all this stuff? He asked. What are you afraid of? I didn't know how to answer. I just knew I needed it. The same way Claire had known. The same instinct that told me to track every dollar. He didn't last. The binder did. I thought the hard part was over. I thought I'd proven myself. I thought owning something meant keeping it. I was wrong. 3 weeks ago, Mom called. Let's do dinner, just family. Her voice was too cheerful, too rehearsed. The voice she used when she wanted something. I should have known. I walked into their house. Dining room table set like Thanksgiving. Good china, cloth napkins, candles lit, the crystal glasses that only came out for company. My sister and her husband were already there. He was drinking wine. She was rubbing her stomach. They exchanged a look when I walked in. The kind of look that says they've already talked about you. We made it through appetizers. Small talk about weather, Dad's golf game, Mom's book club. My sister talked about her upcoming trip to Italy. Her husband talked about his side projects. Nobody asked about my job, my life, my penthouse. It was like I wasn't even there. Just a placeholder at the table, a seat that needed filling. Then dessert, Mom's famous cheesecake, the one she only makes when she wants something. Mom cleared her throat. That sound, the one that always preceded bad news wrapped in good intentions. The sound of a trap being sprung. Sweetheart, we need to talk about your living situation. I put my fork down. My living situation. Dad leaned forward. His lawyer voice? The one he used in depositions. Cold, precise, no room for argument. You're in a 3-bedroom penthouse, alone. It's wasted space. My sister's hand went to her stomach. Slow, deliberate, making sure I saw. I'm pregnant. I smiled, genuine. Congratulations. I meant it. Despite everything, I meant it. Mom's voice turned soft, dangerous. The velvet glove hiding the iron fist. She needs room, stability. You don't really need 3 bedrooms. Do you? You're single. No children. No prospects. Really? I felt the air shift, like the pressure dropping before a storm, like the moment before a car crash when everything slows down. What exactly are you asking? Dad's tone was flat, businesslike, like this was a transaction, not a conversation with his daughter. We want you to sign the penthouse over to your sister. You can move into something smaller, something reasonable. A 1-bedroom would suit you fine. I laughed, actually laughed. The kind of laugh that escapes before you can stop it. The kind that sounds more like a bark. You want me to give her my home. It's not about giving, Mom said, her voice climbing, getting defensive. It's about family, about doing what's right. My sister started crying, perfect tears rolling down perfect cheeks. The same tears that got her out of every punishment as a child. The same tears that made Mom and Dad bend to her every whim. I just want my kids to have what you had, she said, her voice breaking. A stable home, room to grow, a future. She paused. Let the knife sink in. Oh, wait, you never wanted to share anything, even when we were kids. Always keeping your money in that stupid shoebox. Always acting like you were better than us. The room went quiet. There it was. The real accusation, not that I was selfish, but that I had something they wanted, and I'd earned it without them. I stood up. My chair scraped against the hardwood floor. The sound felt like a declaration, like a line being drawn. I bought it, my name, my mortgage, my 10 years of saving while you vacationed in Cancun. The answer is no. Dad stood too. Threw his napkin on the table, his face red, veins visible at his temples, the same expression he had when he lost a court case. You have 1 week to think about what family really means. He walked out. Mom followed, her heels clicking against the floor like a countdown. My sister whispered behind me as I grabbed my coat, her tears already dry, her voice cold. You're going to regret this. 3 days later, a certified letter arrived. Heavy paper, law firm letterhead, the kind of stationery that costs $3 a sheet, the kind that screams, "We're serious." I opened it, standing in my kitchen, my hands shaking, not from fear, from anger. They were claiming my parents had an equitable interest in the penthouse, that there was an oral family trust agreement, that I had been holding the property for the benefit of the family, that my sister was a named beneficiary of this imaginary arrangement. I read it twice, then a third time. It was a lie. Every word of it. A complete fabrication. But it was a lie on legal paper, signed by an actual attorney, ready to be filed with an actual court. The same day, my sister's husband posted on social media. Some people forget where they came from. Praying for my wife and her family, the comments piled up. Cousins, aunts, friends of my parents, all of them on her side. Stay strong. Family should come first. Some people are just selfish. Praying for your situation. Can't believe someone would do this to their pregnant sister. Greed destroys families. Blood should be thicker than real estate. The likes multiplied. 200, 300, 500 by the end of the day. My sister shared the post with a crying emoji. Mom shared it with a heart. Dad didn't use social media, but I knew he'd seen it. My phone started ringing. Family members I hadn't heard from in years. Suddenly concerned, suddenly righteous, suddenly experts on what I should do with my own property. Aunt Linda called first. "Sweetheart, I know you've worked hard, but your sister needs you. That's what family does." Then Uncle Robert, "Your father is devastated. He didn't raise you to be like this." Then my grandmother, 87 years old, voice shaking, "Please don't tear this family apart. Please." I stopped answering. Then a voicemail from my mother. Her voice was shaking, the same dramatic tremor she'd used when she told neighbors about her difficult older daughter. I never thought I raised someone so cold, someone so heartless. Your sister is pregnant, and you're worried about a piece of real estate. If you don't do the right thing, don't come to Christmas, or Thanksgiving, or Easter, or any holiday, ever. You won't be welcome in my home. I sat on my couch, stared out at the city lights, the skyline I'd worked 10 years to afford. The same view that had kept me going through night shifts and basement apartments. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe blood mattered more than blueprints. Maybe I was selfish. Maybe family meant sacrifice. Maybe I was the villain in this story. Maybe everyone else was right. Maybe I should just sign, end the pain, get my family back. Then I looked at the bookshelf, the binder, the shoebox that became a folder that became a system. Claire's voice in my head, track every dollar like it's evidence. I pulled it down and started reading. First page, purchase agreement. Dated 3 years ago. Signed by me. Buyer line, one name, mine. Solo. No co-purchasers. No family assistance noted. Down payment $84,000. Wired from my savings account. Account number ending in 4712. The account I'd opened at 19. The account that had grown dollar by dollar, shift by shift, year by year. I flipped the page. Seller's agent notes, handwritten in the margin. The realtor's personal observations. Buyer's parents declined to co-sign or contribute. Multiple requests made, all refused. Transaction is solo. I'd never seen this note before. The realtor had asked my parents to help. They'd said no, not once, multiple times. And now they wanted half. Next document. Title deed, recorded with the county, embossed seal, official, owner of record my name, no co-owners, no liens except the mortgage, and the mortgage, also my name, a loan, no co-signers, no guarantors, just me and the bank. I pulled the wire transfer receipt, $84,000, my account to escrow, date stamped, time stamped, verified. Their oral agreement didn't exist on paper because it never existed at all. Not in writing, not in action, not in reality. They were counting on me not fighting back, counting on guilt, counting on family loyalty, on me folding because I didn't want to be the bad daughter, on the pattern of a lifetime, me giving, them taking, me sacrificing, them benefiting. I closed the binder. Then I opened the next section because the first receipt told me I owned it. The second one was about to tell me why they really wanted it. The next morning, another letter, same law firm, different tone, notice of intent to file complaint, constructive trust, unjust enrichment, immediate action required. They were going to sue me. My own parents were going to take me to court. Over a home I bought with my own money. Over an asset I'd spent a decade building. I read the legal terms 3 times, Googled each one. Constructive trust when someone holds property that should belong to someone else. Unjust enrichment when someone profits unfairly at another's expense. Both claims were fiction, but fiction could become reality if they filed, if they found a sympathetic judge, if I couldn't prove what I knew to be true. My sister started a group chat. Extended family, 32 people. Every relative I'd ever met, and some I hadn't. Some of us actually need help. Some of us just hoard. Screenshots started circulating. My aunt texted me, "How can you do this to your own sister?" Then my uncle, "Your parents are heartbroken. This isn't the girl we raised." Then cousins I barely knew, friends of my parents, people from church, the social circle closing ranks. I didn't reply. Then my father called. No greeting, no hello, just his voice, cold and hard. "You want to tear this family apart over a piece of real estate. Fine, we'll see you in court." His voice dropped, the same tone he used when he was about to destroy a witness. "And when you lose, and you will lose, you'll have nothing. No family, no home, no inheritance, nothing. You'll be completely alone. Is that what you want? He hung up. An hour later, a text from my mother. Your sister's marriage is falling apart. She's pregnant and terrified. This penthouse could save her. It could save all of us. But you don't care, do you? You've never cared about anyone but yourself. I stared at the screen. Read the words again and again. 48 hours. That's what the second letter said. Sign a quitclaim deed in 48 hours. Transfer the property to my sister. Move out within 30 days, or they file. Public lawsuit. Court records. Discovery. Depositions. Local news, maybe. My name in headlines. My private life made public. Total estrangement. Definitely. I had a choice. Give in and lose everything I built. 10 years of saving. The basement studio. The night shifts. The sacrifices. All of it. Handed over to someone who'd never worked a day like I had, or fight and lose everyone I grew up with. Parents, sister, extended family, the entire network of people I'd called family for 35 years. I sat down at my desk, opened the binder again. 48 hours. I pulled the second document. Mortgage payment ledger. 3 years. 36 payments. Every single one debited from my checking account. Principal, interest, taxes, insurance. PMI until I hit 20% equity. Total paid to date $157,000. Parents' contribution, 0. I turned the page. A credit report I'd pulled 6 months ago. When I looked into refinancing, my broker had run a cross-reference by address. Standard procedure for title searches. My sister's name appeared, tied to $68,000 in unsecured debt. Credit cards, 4 of them, all maxed, personal loans, 3 different lenders, a defaulted car lease, a collections notice, all of it less than 2 years old. I kept reading. A county lien search I'd requested for property research. Another standard procedure, just gathering information. My parents' home. Second mortgage recorded 11 months ago. Amount borrowed $125,000. Lender a private company I didn't recognize. Interest rate 9.8%. Predatory. Desperate. I did the math in my head. Sister's debt $68,000. Parents' second mortgage $125,000. Total family debt $193,000. My penthouse equity roughly $370,000. Enough to clear both. Enough to wipe the slate clean. Enough to save everyone. Except me. They weren't asking for fairness. They weren't asking for help. They were drowning. And I was the lifeboat they wanted to commandeer. I wasn't their daughter. I was their exit strategy. The realization hit me like a physical blow. All those years of being the afterthought. The unfavored one. The daughter who had to figure it out herself. It wasn't just neglect. It was investment strategy. They gave everything to my sister because they expected returns. They gave nothing to me because they expected nothing back. But then I succeeded. And suddenly, I was useful. Suddenly, I had value, not as a daughter, as an asset to be liquidated. I sat in the dark of my living room, the city lights twinkling outside, the same view I dreamed about in that basement studio. I called my cousin, the only one who hadn't picked a side, the only one who'd stayed quiet during the social media storm. She answered on the first ring. Are you okay? I asked her one question. What's really going on with my sister? Silence. Long. Heavy. Then she sighed. You deserve to know, she said. But you can't tell anyone I told you, I promised. Her husband lost his job 8 months ago. Some kind of restructuring at his company. He hasn't told anyone except your parents. He's been pretending to go to work every day. My stomach dropped. They're 3 months behind on the condo. The bank is starting foreclosure proceedings. Your parents refinanced their house to cover the first 2 months, but they're tapped out now. They can't help anymore. I close my eyes, pieces falling into place. So the plan is, get me to sign over the penthouse, sell it fast, use the equity to clear her debt, and keep our parents' house out of foreclosure. Yeah, her voice was small, apologetic. They've been planning this for weeks. The family dinner, the announcement about the pregnancy, the timeline, all of it. The pregnancy was planned. The announcement was, she's been pregnant for 4 months. They waited to tell you until they had the legal strategy ready. There it was, the whole picture, clear as the skyline outside my window, my sister's $68,000 in the red, my parents' second mortgage bleeding them dry, my penthouse $680,000 market value, $310,000 mortgage balance, $370,000 net equity, enough to zero them all out, enough to erase their mistakes, with my money more, my sacrifice, my decade of work. I wasn't family. I was an ATM, a piggy bank they'd been waiting to crack open. Thank you, I said, for telling me the truth. I hung up. I made one more call, and the war ended before they even knew it had started. Her name was Diane Cho, real estate litigation attorney, former prosecutor, 15 years of experience, zero tolerance for fraud, the kind of lawyer who wore black suits and spoke in complete sentences, the kind who didn't flinch. I found her through a late-night Google search. Reviews mentioned relentless and thorough and doesn't suffer fools. Exactly what I needed. I met her the next morning. Her office was downtown, 10th floor, sparse, no family photos, no inspirational posters, just law books and filing cabinets and a view of the courthouse. She listened, took notes, asked questions, reviewed my binder page by page, every receipt, every bank statement, every mortgage payment, every document I'd saved for 10 years. When she finished, she looked up, her expression unreadable. They have no claim, legal or equitable. This is a textbook case of attempted fraud using the legal system as a weapon. If they file, we'll bury them. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe. What do I do? She laid out the plan, methodical, strategic, like a general preparing for battle. Step 1, we file for declaratory judgment, a preemptive strike. We go to the court first and ask for an official order confirming you're the sole owner. We show them the evidence, your purchase agreement, your payments, your title. We extinguish any claimed interest before they can establish it. She made a note. Step 2, we send a cease and desist to your parents and sister. Formal, legal, documented. We cite the evidence, the purchase documents, the payment history, the fact that no oral agreement was ever written, witnessed, or acted on. We make it clear that we know what they're trying to do, and we have the receipts to prove it. She paused. Step 3, we add a quiet line at the end, a warning. If they proceed with a frivolous lawsuit, we counterclaim for abusive process, and we go after legal fees. Every penny they spend trying to take your home, they'll owe back to you. I signed the retainer that afternoon. $5,000 up front, $450 an hour after that. It was the best money I ever spent. Diane drafted everything in 6 hours. The motion, the cease and desist, both time-stamped and ready to file. I recorded a video statement summarizing the facts. My name, my purchase, my payments, the timeline of events, the threats, the legal letters. Uploaded it to cloud storage with a timestamp, just in case the social media campaign got worse. just in case they tried to rewrite history, just in case I needed proof of what really happened. Then I waited. Silence is power. Claire taught me that too. When you have the evidence, you don't need to argue. You just need to be ready. 72 hours later, my phone rang. Their attorney. Emergency settlement conference. His voice was tight, strained, to avoid costly litigation. Translation, they'd seen the evidence. They knew they'd lose. They wanted out before it got worse. I agreed. On the record, with Diane present, neutral conference room downtown, glass walls, city skyline behind us. The same skyline I could see from my penthouse. The same view I'd earned. My parents walked in first. Mom in her pearls. Dad in his courtroom suit. They sat on opposite sides of the table from me, like I was a hostile witness. My sister came next, her husband trailing behind. She was showing now, her hand on her stomach like a shield. Their attorney was young, nervous, the kind of lawyer who took cases on contingency and hoped for settlements. They looked tired, worn out, like people who'd been caught, like people who knew they'd lost. Diane opened her binder, the same binder I'd kept for 10 years, the same receipts Claire had taught me to save. Before we waste the court's time, let's establish the facts. She slid the first exhibit across the table. Purchase agreement, dated 3 years ago, title deed, recorded with the county, sole purchaser, owner of record, no co-signers, no co-owners, no familial contribution of any kind. Their attorney skimmed it. His face fell. He said nothing. Diane slid the second exhibit. 3 years of mortgage payments, 36 consecutive payments. Total $157,000. Every single payment from my client's personal checking account. Parental contribution 0. Sibling contribution 0. Extended family contribution 0. My mother looked at her hands. Her nails were perfect. The same shade of pink she'd worn to my high school graduation. The graduation where she spent the whole dinner talking about my sister's college applications. Diane placed the third exhibit. Credit report, cross-referenced by address. Lien search, county records. She spread the documents across the table. Your daughter's $68,000 in unsecured debt. Credit cards maxed. Personal loans defaulted. Car lease and collections. Your second mortgage of $125,000. Taken out 11 months ago? She paused. Let the numbers hang in the air. Let them see what I'd seen. And the equity in this penthouse, roughly $370,000. Enough to clear both debts. Enough to bail out everyone in this room, except my client. She looked at their attorney. That's motive, in black and white, documented, time-stamped, undeniable. Their attorney went pale, the color draining from his face like water from a sink. My father opened his mouth, ready to argue, ready to spin, ready to deploy the same tactics he used in court. Diane cut him off. Your claim has no legal or equitable foundation. There was no oral agreement. There is no constructive trust. There is no unjust enrichment. There is only a daughter who built something on her own, and a family who wanted to take it from her. She leaned forward. If you file this lawsuit, my client will counterclaim for abuse of process. We will seek full legal fees. We will make this matter public record, and we will win. She straightened the documents. This meeting is your exit ramp. I suggest you take it. My sister broke, sobbing, hands over her face, real tears this time, not the performance tears she'd used at dinner. I didn't think it would go this far, she said, her voice breaking. I didn't know what else to do. We're losing everything. The condo, the Kim Gusum. Derek lost his job 8 months ago, and we didn't tell anyone, And it just kept getting worse and worse. And she couldn't finish. My mother looked away out the window at the city I'd worked so hard to afford a piece of. Her jaw tight, her eyes wet. My father's jaw worked, but no words came. For the first time in my life, my father had nothing to say. Their attorney leaned over, whispered to my dad, something about liability, something about exposure, something about cutting losses. Then he spoke. We'll withdraw in writing. Today, Diane slid a pre-drafted settlement agreement across the table. Parents and sister acknowledge sole ownership. Release all claims. Waive all future claims. Mutual non-disparagement clause. My father's hand shook as he signed, the pen trembling against the paper. The same hand that had signed my sister's BMW title 17 years ago. The same hand that had handed me a bus pass and a handshake. My mother signed without looking at me. Her signature small, cramped, like she was trying to take up as little space as possible. My sister signed last, tears on the paper, smudging the ink, her hand going to her stomach afterward, like the baby could protect her from what had just happened. Her husband didn't sign. He wasn't named in any of the claims. He just sat there, silent, staring at the table, the architect of all this debt, the man who'd lost his job and lied about it for 8 months, the man who'd let his wife's family destroy itself trying to save him. Diane collected the documents, organized them, placed them in a folder. This matter is resolved. The claims are released. The declaratory judgment will be filed as confirmation. Any further contact regarding this property will be considered harassment and will be treated accordingly. I stood, walked out. My footsteps echoed in the hallway, the same echo I'd heard walking into my empty penthouse 3 years ago. The same sound of moving forward. Alone? My phone buzzed in the hallway. A text from my cousin. You won. Are you okay? I didn't answer yet, because I didn't know. Was I okay? I'd won. I'd kept my home. I'd proven I was right. But my family was scattered. My parents barely speaking to me. My sister in tears. My name probably poisoned at every holiday gathering for the next decade. I walked out of the building, stood on the sidewalk, looked up at the skyline. The same skyline I could see from my penthouse. I'd won. But what had I lost? That question would take months to answer. The first month was the hardest. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, check my phone for messages that never came, draft texts I never sent, delete them before morning. The penthouse felt different, emptier, not because anyone had moved out, but because the ghosts of who I thought my family was had finally left. I'd walk through the rooms, the 3 bedrooms they wanted for my sister, the kitchen where I'd hosted family dinners, the balcony where we'd watched fireworks last 4th of July. Memories turned into evidence. Every moment re-examined, every kindness questioned, every assumption challenged. Had they ever loved me? Or had I just been useful? A backup plan? Insurance for when things went wrong? I didn't have answers. Just the binder. Just the receipts. Just the documentation of everything I'd built. The second month, I started therapy. A woman named Dr. Reyes, specializing in family estrangement. She'd seen it all. The golden children, the scapegoats, the parents who couldn't see what they'd created. Grief isn't just for death, she told me. You can grieve people who are still alive. You can mourn the family you thought you had. I cried in her office. The first time I'd cried since the settlement. Big, ugly, messy tears. The kind I'd never allowed myself as a child. The third month, I started to rebuild. Not my family. That bridge was burned. Maybe forever. But my life, my community, the people who showed up when it mattered, I called my cousin to thank her again. Invited her to dinner. Actual dinner, not family drama dinner. We ate Thai food and talked about nothing important. It was perfect. I sent Diane a bottle of wine. She sent back a thank you note, handwritten. The truth is always the best defense. I reached out to old friends I'd neglected, the ones who'd faded during my family drama. Most of them came back. A few didn't. That was okay. By month 4, I could go a whole day without thinking about it. By month 5, I could talk about it without crying. By month 6, I could see the gift hidden inside the wound. They'd tried to take everything from me. Instead, they'd given me clarity about who I was, about what I'd built, about what family really means. 6 months later, my parents sold a rental property they'd kept quiet about. A small house on the east side, something they'd inherited from my grandmother years ago, something they'd never mentioned during the lawsuit, something they could have sold all along. They paid off the second mortgage. No bankruptcy, no foreclosure. They're on a tight budget now, but they're stable. Turns out they had options all along. They just wanted mine to be easier. They wanted my sacrifice instead of theirs. My sister and her husband moved 2 states away. Arizona. He got a new job offer, something in sales, better pay, fresh start. No one from their old life to remind them of what happened. She deleted her social media for 6 months. No posts, no comments, no more crying on the internet about her selfish sister. No more #blessed life when she came back online. It was a different account, a different persona, pictures of cacti and sunsets, no family photos, no mentions of me. I don't know if they're happy, but I hope they're okay. Despite everything, I hope they found what they were looking for. I kept the penthouse, refinanced at a lower rate, 4.1%, saves me $340 a month. I used part of that savings to start a scholarship fund for first-generation college students, kids who work night shifts, live in basements, save every dollar, don't have parents writing checks for their futures, kids who hear you're smart, you'll figure it out, and actually have to. Kids who know that no one is coming to save them. Kids who are their own backup plan. I named it after Claire, the boss who told me to keep receipts, the woman who saw something in a 20-year-old working the late shift at a coffee shop, the mentor who taught me that documentation is protection, the stranger who changed my life with one sentence. The ribbon cutting was small, just me and a few friends, a reporter from the local paper, a representative from the university, no family, no parents beaming with pride, no sister pretending to be happy for me, but it felt right. The first scholarship went to a young woman from Oakland, 19 years old, working 2 jobs, living with 4 roommates in a 2-bedroom apartment, saving every penny for textbooks. She reminded me of myself. I told her about Claire, about the shoebox, about tracking every dollar like evidence, about the binder that saved my life. She listened, just like I did, eyes wide, taking notes, already building something. The second scholarship went to a young man from Detroit, first in his family to go to college, working nights at a warehouse, sleeping 4 hours a day, dreaming of something bigger. He reminded me of me, too. I told him the same thing Claire told me. Track every dollar, document everything. One day so you'll need it. He started keeping receipts the next week. That's how change happens. One person at a time, one lesson at a time, one binder at a time. My mom sent a birthday card 2 months ago. No note inside, just her signature. Just Mom. No love, Mom. No thinking of you, just the name, like a legal document, like a formality. I sent a thank you text. 2 lines, polite, distant, professional. That's where we are now. Boundaries, not bridges. Civility, not closeness. Acknowledgement, not affection. I don't know if it will ever change. I don't know if I want it to. Some wounds heal. Some wounds scar. Some wounds teach you who you are. My dad hasn't called. Not once since the settlement. His pride won't let him. His ego won't bend. He was wrong, and he knows it. But admitting it would cost him more than silence. So silence it is. I used to wait for that call. Check my phone. Hope for an apology. Dream of reconciliation. I stopped waiting 6 months ago. Some calls aren't coming, and that's okay. My sister sent one email, 3 months after they moved. 2 words. I'm sorry. No explanation. No excuses. No justification. Just the apology. Simple. Raw. Honest. I wrote back. I accept your apology. I hope your new city treats you well. I hope your baby is healthy. I hope you find what you're looking for. I wish you the best. That's enough. It has to be. Maybe someday there will be more. Maybe someday we'll sit on my balcony, watch the sunset, talk about normal things, be sisters again. But not today, and maybe not ever. Some relationships can't be rebuilt. Some trust can't be restored. Some family ties have to be cut to survive. And that's not failure. That's wisdom. That's boundaries. That's choosing yourself when everyone else expects you to choose them. Last week, I hosted a dinner party, small, 6 people, friends who stayed quiet during the noise, who didn't share posts or add comments or pile on, who texted me privately, I'm here if you need me. This isn't fair. I believe you. My cousin who told me the truth, who risked family drama to give me the information I needed, who chose honesty over peace, who understood that real love sometimes means taking sides. Diane, who built fairly and became a friend, who taught me that the law can be a shield as well as a sword, who showed me that documentation isn't paranoia, it's protection. We ate on my balcony, the same balcony my family had admired, the same view they'd wanted to take, grilled salmon, roasted vegetables, a bottle of wine that cost more than my bus pass used to. We watched the sunset, the sky turning orange and pink over the downtown skyline, the same skyline I dreamed about in that basement studio, the same view that had kept me going through night shifts and exhaustion. We laughed, talked about normal things, jobs and movies and weekend plans, politics and gossip, and nothing important. The penthouse was full, not of ghosts, not of accusations, not of family drama, of life, of chosen family, of people who loved me for who I was, not for what I could give them. I still keep the binder, not because I need it, not because I'm worried about another attack, not because I think they'll come back, but because it reminds me that the truth, documented and calm, is the most powerful thing you own. And because it reminds me of who I am, the girl who saved every dollar, the woman who tracked every receipt, the person who built something from nothing, despite everything, because of everything. I think about Claire sometimes, the woman who taught me to keep receipts, the boss who saw potential in a 20-year-old with a chip on her shoulder and a shoebox full of cash, the mentor who planted a seed that took 15 years to bloom. She passed away 2 years ago. I found out through LinkedIn. A post from her daughter. A photo of Claire smiling in front of the coffee shop that was now a bank. I sent flowers. Anonymous. Just a card that said, "Thank you for the advice." You saved my life. I wonder if she knew how much those words meant. Track every dollar like it's evidence. One day, you'll need it. She was right. She was so right. Here's what I learned from all of this. Your success is not a family emergency fund. The things you build belong to you. The sacrifices you make are yours to keep. The nights you worked are not collateral. The dollars you saved are not deposits in a family account. What you earn is yours. Full stop. No asterisks. No exceptions. Protecting what you built is not selfishness. It's survival. It's wisdom. It's the difference between drowning with everyone else and having a lifeboat to offer. Because here's the thing. If I'd signed over my penthouse, I wouldn't have saved my family. I would have delayed their crisis by a year, maybe 2. They would have burned through my equity the same way they burned through everything else. The same way my sister burned through credit cards. The same way my parents burned through their retirement savings. The same pattern that had defined them for decades. And then they would have come back for more. Another ask. Another demand. Another guilt trip dressed up as family love. Because the problem was never the money. The problem was the pattern. The spending. The entitlement. The belief that someone else would always clean up the mess. The assumption that I would always be there to fix things. By saying no, I forced them to solve their own problems. My parents found a solution, the rental property they'd hidden. My sister found a new start, the move, the job, the fresh beginning. They did it without me. Because they had to. Because I wouldn't let them do it through me. Sometimes love means letting people struggle. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is say no. Sometimes boundaries are gifts, even when they feel like walls. Some people will tell you that blood is thicker than water, that family comes first, that sacrifice is love, that keeping the peace is more important than keeping your dignity. But I learned something different. Love doesn't demand. Love doesn't sue. Love doesn't send you certified letters threatening to take everything you've earned. Love doesn't orchestrate family dinners with hidden agendas. Love doesn't use pregnancy announcements as negotiating tactics. Love doesn't weaponize guilt. Love doesn't call you selfish for protecting yourself. Real family supports your success. They celebrate when you win. They don't try to liquidate it. They don't see your accomplishments as their emergency fund. They don't treat your boundaries as betrayal. If your relatives treat you like an ATM, they're not family. They're just people who share your DNA and expect your wallet. They're just people who see your success as their property. They're just people who confuse obligation with love. The binder taught me that. Claire taught me that. Diane taught me that. The empty conference room taught me that. The settlement agreement taught me that. The silence afterward taught me that. And now I'm teaching it to you. Keep your receipts. Document everything. Trust. But verify. Save the emails. Screenshot the texts. File the statements. Build something of your own. Something no one can take from you. Something that belongs to you and you alone. Something that proves your worth to yourself, even if no one else sees it. And when they come for what's yours, when they slide the folder across the table, when they tell you to sign, when they threaten court, when they weaponize family, when they call you selfish for saying no, open your briefcase, show them the evidence, let the silence speak. Because the truth, documented and calm, is the most powerful thing you own. More powerful than guilt, more powerful than obligation, more powerful than the story they tell about you. Your story is in the receipts, and receipts don't lie. What would you have done? Would you have signed the deed? Would you have given away everything you built, or would you have fought back? Drop your story in the comments. I read every single one, every story of someone who stood their ground, every story of someone who said no, every story of someone who chose themselves. And if this resonated with you, hit subscribe. There's more where this came from. More stories of people who kept receipts. More stories of people who fought back. More stories of people who learned that family isn't just blood, it's choice. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for understanding. Now go document something. Your future self will thank you. And remember, the binder is always watching. The receipts never forget. And the truth, documented and calm, always wins in the end. Keep your receipts. Always. Forever. No exceptions. Your future depends on it.